Let's talk about customer preservation. Right now, the Wuhan flu, the coronavirus, this outbreak has caused a nationwide lockdown. Hi, I'm Justin Hitt with Commercial Electoral Profits. I'm enacting my disaster marketing plan to support clients and prospective clients and people in the electoral contracting community with insights and direction to grow their business despite this problem. Let's talk about customer preservation. For those of you who got the notice about your being able to email in questions or fax in questions, I mentioned customer preservation. I also mentioned business continuity planning, risk management, and cash management plan, but we'll talk specifically right now about your customer preservation. There are some crazy things going on right now. So, for example, the president, Donald Trump of the United States of America, has asked us to stay in our homes for the next 15 days. That means your technicians may not be able to do service calls. They may not be able to come to the office. You can't even have them in the back room to work on things. And there's the potential that you may have to lay off those individuals. And what happens then? Well, some other contractor who had a better plan, who was more stable, that had cash reserves in place, may be able to grab up those high-value technicians that you have to let go, or you have to set aside or put them on furlough. And ultimately, with those technicians comes knowledge about your customer base. See, customer preservation is about making sure that when we come out the other side of this event, that you're going to still have the customers that you have going into the event. Do you remember the measles outbreak of 2017 that killed 110,000 people? Probably not. That was a global pandemic. It was in 2017, just a few years ago, and it's probably not top of mind. What about the swine flu of 2013 that killed 17,000 people in the United States? See, a lot of folks are blaming Trump for this or that, but Trump wasn't president then. It's so maybe that's a common problem that presidents face. But what about the bubonic plague that has been going on and off for the last 20 years, killing tens of thousands of people all over the world? I thought the bubonic plague was gone. See, we have a very short memory when it comes to these types of events. And often that memory causes us to panic and not see what is obvious before us. Now, you're an electrical contractor. You're a solar installer. You're you're doing inside wiring. The building industry gets hit by the mortgage crisis, and now they're not building new buildings, and suddenly a whole chunk of your business is gone. You're in a situation where it's real obvious what you can do. During a hurricane or flood or an earthquake, you can do electrical inspections and you can get power back online. But when everybody has power, but they're constrained to their home and movement is restricted across the country, what is it that you can do? Well, that's where we step into customer preservation. What is it that your customer needs right now more than anything else? What is their biggest fear and concern? Well, for your elderly population, it would be their ability to get to medical services and those medical services being able to provide for their individual needs. Because right now, 99% of the deaths related to coronavirus have been elderly individuals with pre-existing conditions. One of the reasons Italy is having this major outbreak and problems is because they have a reciprocal relationship with Wuhan in their manufacturing industry. So there's a lot of individuals back and forth from Wuhan where the original crisis started. And they also have a high population of elderly folks. They also have a lot of smoking. They also had a high immigrant population or refugee population. And by the way, I'm not going to be anywhere politically correct. Just like Lyme's disease is named after Old Lyme, Connecticut, and Zika is named after the origination location, the people I know who are Chinese, they call it the Wuhan virus too. And there's even jokes about Wuhan Kung Fu or Kung Flu. All this stuff that's come to mind and the news is criticizing people about is actually, it's nonsense. And your customers are not in a state of mind to stay loyal to the electrical contractor that took care of them in good times. Now, they may have situations where they have medical equipment, and having sustained and consistent power is very important to them. So they they may finally make a decision on generator sales. So customer preservation, if you sell generators to residential, generators to nursing homes, generators to hospitals, this may be the time to follow up and offer a substantial discount for a decision right now. Now, I'm saying substantial discount because if you raise your prices based on supply and demand, there are new laws. The lawmakers are slipping in all kinds of sneaky things. There are laws right now where you could lose your inventory because of perceived price gouging. So a significant discount may not be you losing any money. It may be, hey, look, if you get this generator now, we can install it and you add a service plan and we're going to cut off this much upfront. Or we're going to waive our installation fees because you're going to be on our maintenance program and you'll eventually get your money. But you're not going to get it up front, and you take care of the immediate need right now. Because here's what's important. Generators in your warehouse have no value to you. Okay? Right now, those generators need to be installed at emergency response facilities, first responders, hospitals, nursing homes, those types of areas. And then, of course, your affluent customers. And then, again, anybody who is previously in your sales funnel, now is the time to make a decision. You can have small projects. So the restrictions right now, they went from 250 people in a group to 50 people in a group to now 10 people. My local restaurant, there are no confirmed cases of coronavirus in this area or Wuhan flu or the Chinese virus, or what do you want to call it. There are no confirmed cases, yet my local restaurants are only allowed to have 10 people in the restaurant at a time. That means they've got to lay off some staff, they've got to reduce their schedule, and people are not earning the money they need to earn. Well, many of your customers who are on payment plans, now if you have a third-party finance company, you might not be able to do anything about this, but many of your customers on payment plans need an opportunity to waive some of those payments. Now, I'm not asking you to go in the hole because this is about everything we talk about is about profits over time because, again, there have been major pandemics. It's just the response for this one has been overwhelming. There have been major pandemics much worse than this, but the way people have responded has set up a different psychology. So I'm not asking you to waive payments at a loss. I'm asking you to preserve the customer relationship by maybe you waive some late fees, maybe you waive some payments, but you're going to back in that with some kind of option. So, hey, look, we're going to waive your payments, but we're going to do a forbearance. We're going to add the payment to the end. Interest is still going to move. We'll add the payment to the end. You're going to back that up with a local loan from your bank. And then again, the SBA is releasing funds. So maybe you go get an SBA loan that backs up the money so that you have day-to-day cash flow. See, there's structures to this. Now, I know if you go online and you're looking at business advice, it's very plain Jane, very simple. But the real world prospers on complexity. So your customers have a fear. They have specific needs. You're going to have to triage those customers because supply chain disruptions means you may only have 4 generators in the office. And if you're selling those generators at supply and demand, yes, maybe you could get twice the price. But if laws have been put in place in your region where somebody could rat you out because they don't understand the risks that you go through to have those things sitting on the shelf, then maybe you do some kind of get them in the door plan and then spread payments out over time. So again, it could be if you install this month, we'll get the installation scheduled, we'll get your system installed, and then you can make payments no interest over the next 12 months. There are all these other options that come with some risks and many rewards if properly designed. Now, your customer preservation plan is also about making sure that your customers are taken care of. If your customers are trapped in their homes and they're concerned about power, then yes, that's an obvious thing you can take care of. But we are not likely to have power outages from a viral pandemic. But they may have concerns, like for some reason people are out buying toilet paper. This is an upper respiratory infection or respiratory tract infection. There is no need for toilet paper. But if you happen to work out a deal to get a bunch of toilet paper, you could do a promotion where you deliver or you deliver toilet paper to people, or you deliver sanitary supplies, or you get a bulk deal on some hand sanitizer and soaps, for example. And now you can do do a home delivery because you've got vans and installation vehicles. You can do a home delivery to your core customers as a gift basket or as a value add, just to help them remember that you're there to take care of their long-term needs. We're all going to get through this. You can cooperate. We talk about this in the charitable marketing programs. You can cooperate with local charities, providing either financial support and assistance. Now, remember, the SBA loans will also go to nonprofits as well. So you don't need to give them money if you aren't going to get a tax deduction out of it, or you don't see an immediate value in your community. But when you do this, you can use social media and other tools to collect video. Now, remember, this is very important. We talk about this in the charitable marketing program. You're not going to go give them stuff to get it on video and then to promote yourself. You're going to capture all the video now, and then after the event, you use the video, because we don't want to be the people who are kind of showboating or, virtue signaling, because that really does, it's a very distasteful practice. But ultimately, what can you do to preserve your customer relationships? Now, it may mean cutting back on getting new customers to the point where you're getting more referrals than new relationship customers. And this is very powerful, because what we want to do is reinforce the relationship we have with existing customers, and then through their network, connect to get additional customers, because that referral customer is much more valuable. And so we can do stimulated word of mouth activities. The sanitation gift basket is a good one, because it gives folks something to talk about. And you can really simply call up some local vendors. Now, I'm all about local business, because those dollars will stay in the community. It sets up referral relationships. It sets up opportunities for cooperative marketing in the future. But you can call up some local soap makers. There's a lot of folks that make soap, and you can get specialty soaps at bulk, which is a cash inflection to the individuals who are manufacturing the soaps. You can contact your local distillery and get alcohol, and then contact somebody in bulk and get a couple IBC totes full of glycerin. And you can make your own hand sanitizer based on what the CDC recommends. And you can ultimately then distribute this to your customers. But these partnerships that you're making now makes your marketing dollars go further, because they can promote it to their customers. You can promote it to yours. Now, what you don't want to have happen is a giant crowd of people showing up at your offices to pick up hand sanitizer. You do want to distribute it. In this particular case, is you do want to distribute it with your vehicles in a way where your staff are not interacting with the customer themselves. So maybe you do a voice broadcast to all your customers saying, hey, look, if you have any immediate needs, please let us know, because the contravirus has caused issues with scheduling. However, we will be going around to all of our customer locations and leaving a gift basket on your front porch or in your lobby that includes soaps, hand sanitizers, and many of the recommended preventative measures according to the CDC. Visit our website for details. Of course, your website can link to the CDC. It can provide tips and tricks, but also you can go on the news. But you stress the fact that you're going to bring it to them. Now, what does this do? It keeps your employees doing something useful. It builds customer relationships. It gives you a little bit of You can also interact with your local news and other things. But I'm going to wrap this up because my phone's starting to ring. I'm Justin Hitt with Commercial Electrical Profits, and this has been about customer preservation. I gave you a couple examples. The key is that you want to proactively reach out to your customers and make sure that they're doing well. You also want to connect with your customers with some options to keep your employees working. Because a lot of your staff won't be able to work remotely, even though we're required to stay at home. You can have a service truck drive out and deliver, for example, the hand sanitizer or in those activities. You may also find that many of your customers have challenges or specific needs that are not related to your business. Go ahead and facilitate those and get them connected with the right people. You also want to be checking in to dental offices, medical centers, hospitals, and other centers, and make sure that they know that you're available, and then set up your schedule accordingly, because a lot of hospitals right now will be running their generators, and they will be also running their their air filtration systems kind of around the clock. Now, when it comes to the generators, if they're not already testing those generators, if they've got solar systems and they're not testing their failovers, just make sure your customers are testing those things. And you don't really have to create a lot of content, because ultimately the CDC has some really good advice. The Surgeon General has some really good advice. And if you can just make sure people are aware of that, maybe they'll stop panic buying toilet paper and they'll start, I don't know, they'll probably start panic buying something else. Like the whole thing about people wearing the masks. The masks are good if you work with somebody who has an illness or you have the illness, but it's actually not good for somebody who doesn't have the illness, because it traps all that moisture and stuff in your breath. And again, it's a respiratory tract infection. So just simply getting on the news, one of the local providers here got on the news and just went down the bullet points of the different things that are important to understand about this thing. They reduced the level of hype. They focused on customer value, and that always rewards you in the long run. Now, if you want to talk specifically about your deferment of payments for customers, the SBA loans, other things like that, we can talk about that in the office. I would like your CPA involved in that, because sometimes when you can do some very interesting things like no payments till the end of the year, but you may have to back that with some kind of loan or some kind of finance company in order to make that work cleanly, because we don't know that this isn't going to extend all the way to the election, all the way out to November. I'm recording this right now in March. Ultimately, there are other concerns and challenges that your customers may have. If you can catalog those, I can help you with your customer preservation plan. And again, if you haven't seen the announcement by email, while this pandemic event is under effect, I'm doing just like I do with my hurricane marketing, just like I do with earthquakes and other events, is if you're in a locally impacted area, you are certainly welcome to fax my office or to email my office, and we can set up some telephone time. I'm recording these sessions and then distributing these sessions to the general list of people who are in the newsletter or private clients. And we'll work out specific solutions for your business. Now, I am serving a number of private clients. Actually, work hasn't really changed here because I do work remote already. And I'm not really concerned for my family because we prepared for this kind of stuff. This is being in the risk management world. This is what we do. But ultimately, I am delighted to help you prosper during this challenge and to get back on your feet as quickly as possible when you get out on the other end. Customer preservation is just one of the pieces there. But again, these customers are scared. They're going to go look for solutions, and you want to make sure that every place they turn, they find you for the things that you can help them with. And that while this thing is going on, you're also building relationships in your community so that after this is over with, you can get back on track. Because again, pandemics happen all the time. Earthquakes, hurricanes. It's just our human brain, for some reason, forgets about this stuff. Again, I'm Justin Hitt with Commercial Electrical Profits. If you have questions, you can visit www.commercialelectricalprofits.com. And I'm here to help you solve these problems. And again, there is a no charge window here. I'm not going to, I'm going to do this work with you. I'm not going to go do it for you, but ultimately I can get you on the right track pretty quickly, as I've done for the last 20 years or so. Thanks for listening again. I'm Justin Hitt with Commercial Electrical Profits.